We also, because getting books from our campus is our best source of getting books, we also do buyback during finals week, not only in our store, but at off-site locations. Once again, just in an effort to try to get as many used books as possible. We try to have department meetings, explain to them why it's so important, how much it financially impacts the students. As the bookstore, we really have no control over what the faculty select, and we don't want to be in that position. But we would like to be involved as far as an information point in case they have questions, and to have them understand how much it can financially impact the students. One of the things that we find when we talk to students and when we deal with returns during that first week of class, has anybody ever got to class and the professor told you you didn't need a book? Mm-hmm. And has anybody ever got to class and never used the book in the class? And that kind of makes you frustrated that you spent all that money. We would much rather the department put that book as recommended rather than required, because that gives the student a better idea of how that book's going to be used. We also try to educate faculty and staff on how their choices impact the students. Has anybody ever bought a book where it's a package? It includes a CD, a study guide, a textbook, and that type of thing. Sometimes those are very good deals. Publishers love to sell new books because that's their business. And if we sell a used book or there are used books available, they don't make as much money. So they will do a lot to try to promote packages. And a lot of times they'll tell faculty members, well, if you use this book, we're going to give your student this free study guide, this free deed, and this free other thing. So it's really a great value for them. And in some cases it might, if they're going to use it all in class, it might be a very good value. But if they're not using it, and sometimes the publishers won't make that textbook available alone, or they'll price everything, if they're going to use the study guide and the textbook, they might price those alone so they're more expensive than what you could buy them individually. We see that a lot with access codes, where it might be a textbook and an access code. We can get used textbooks and sell those to you, but by the time we buy the access code from the manufacturer, from the publisher, and they add their price, buying a used book and a new access code is more than the whole package together. Once again, we can't influence that with the publishers, but we can definitely talk to the faculty members and try to do the math with them and let them know some questions they might talk about and how they have a lot of power with the publishers. The publishers want to sell that book to them. So we just want to be there as a resource if they need us. Some of the things we also talk to them about are custom titles. Custom books are books that are only used on this campus, and sometimes they're a great value to students. There might be a book that's 25 chapters and the faculty member only wants to use 8. If they can get a custom book made, that's going to save the students a lot of money. But if they only use that custom book one semester, then it can't be sold back at the end of the year. It's not available as used copies, so in turn, that can cost the students a lot of money. And we do see a lot of custom books on this campus. Once again, if it's what the faculty member needs, it's a great thing as long as they're using it. And we just want to explain the financial implications to the students. We also feel by educating students, as they do their end of the term surveys or questionnaires for their faculty member, we encourage them to let them know how much they felt like the textbook was used in the class, what they paid for it, so faculty members understand. I mean, we have some departments or some classes, they might have 18 books for a class. It might be a lot of general reading, but that can be a great hardship to some students, so we want them to be aware of that. Another thing we do with faculty members is we have something called Faculty Center Network. It's available because we are a Barnes & Noble store through one of our sister companies, and it's a resource tool for textbooks. A faculty member can go look up a subject that they're teaching, psychology. They can see what textbooks are available in psychology. They can see the table of contents, and we feel that just gives them a more educated, unbiased selection of a textbook that might be used for their class, than if they just hear what's available from a certain publisher, sales rep who wants to sell that title. We want to try to encourage faculty members to select a book that's going to be relevant in their class and actually used by the students. We also, because we put so much emphasis on getting the book orders in early, it just helps us source the books, get used books, make sure custom books are available on time. Like I said, not having the book order is one of our biggest challenges. And at Illinois State, we'll probably go into buyback with about 60% of the book orders in. And that's relatively high for some campuses. We have found, as a company, we can continue to emphasize the importance of getting that book order. Student government, student groups have a huge impact. We have we have several stores in the state of New York, and a lot of them are in the state system. And for a long time, that whole system, they were like, you know, our faculty members won't turn in book orders, they don't care. And student government got involved and helped the bookstore explain why it was so important. And they were able to raise a lot of the book orders that were turned in. We have certain departments, and we'll be happy to, if you guys are interested, share information that are wonderful about turning their book orders in and have 90% of them turned in by finals week. Another thing that publishers are now having to try to offer the textbooks packages as unbundled. Once again, they can't control the pricing of that. That'll never happen. And a lot of times we can get things separate, but they're just making price prohibitive to make it a value to students. And we're still working with faculty members and publishers to try to influence that. We also, one of the things they want schools and universities to do is help educate students on how to save money, either through used books, cash back for books, and you know, we try to do that as we get freshmen into campus. We are happier if people understand how buyback works. Some of the advantages of buying books from a campus bookstore, one is you get the correct book. We do have a return policy. If students buy books from us and they go to class, they can return them for any reason within that first week of class. If students drop a class, we extend that to 30 days. We'll give them a full refund on their textbooks. We also have a low price guarantee. We will match any local competitor if they have a lower price on the book. Once again, that's an effort to try to make it as easy as possible for parents and students to support us. We have seen a lot of activity from students and interest in students because they're trying to save money in getting textbooks online, different places, selling them on eBay, that type of thing. We understand that. We just want to educate students on some things to look at when they're doing that to make sure they're feeling comfortable with return policy. I had a girl last July came in, and she had spent all summer sourcing books. She was taking an English class, and she had 18 books on her book list for that class. So she got them all. And into July, she found out the professor changed. She did not change classes or change her schedule, but the professor changed, so the entire book list changed. So she came to me and said, what can you do? My first question was, did you buy them from us? Because we would have done a full refund and gotten her books, but because she sourced them elsewhere, there really wasn't a lot I could do, and that's unfortunate. When you're buying online, students have no control over the condition of the book, or they get the correct book. We get fairly busy. We're still selling quite a few textbooks now because students have tried to source books online and they never show up. Or we've had problems with they've shown up, they've been shipped, they've been delivered to their apartment, and they get there and they're never there. So when they call to track them, they find out there's not a book there, and that ends up costing them money. So once again, as a university bookstore, we want to be there to provide the service of having books. We also do what we call textbook reservations. People can order books online from us through our website, and we will have them boxed up, ready for them to pick up when classes start. They can be shipped to their home, or picked up in store. And we do thousands of those each semester. And by ordering early, you get first choice of used books, which once again saves students money. So that's a little bit about textbooks, a little bit about the bookstore. Any questions? Yes?
I did not know that you have imagining local competitors' price. And a lot of students say that Elmo's cheaper, so if it's the same book and theirs is cheaper, you will...
We will match it. And we're not able to match online competitors. And I like to explain to people why. One is we find that a lot of times the book never shows up, or it's not the same book, and that type of thing. So, you know, we can't match a Phantom book, but we will definitely match any local competitor. Our policy does require that you just make us aware of it. If you're buying the book, we'll just verify it and take the discount at the register. If you've already bought it and you're within that first week of class, or right before classes start, we'll return it and make the adjustment. There are thousands of books on the book list. We're not able to, if we know that a book's been lower, we price ours very consistently and with our contract of what we agreed to the university. And we're not able to go mark all of our stock down for a couple reasons. Not on this campus, but we have seen at other campuses. Competitors will take loss leaders and take a certain amount of their books, mark them down, and then play games and mark them back up. And it's just too time consuming for us to keep track of it because of all the titles. So that's why we kind of have a fairly cut and dried policy. Just make us aware of it and we'll take care of you. Yes?
Great. Right. I know there's been a lot of talk on campus of students wanting to start like a book swap, where students could like meet here and exchange books for the upcoming semester. But my understanding is there's a clause in the current contract with Barnes & Nobles that prohibits that. When your current contract expires, do you think Barnes & Nobles will be opposed to allowing that sort of?
I would probably think not, and mainly because the cost of doing business. I mean, I think people would be absolutely shocked if they knew by the time what Barnes & Noble generates out of the store. And, you know, we are a business. We do have to make a slight amount of money to operate. I didn't really talk about, Barnes & Noble operates a lot of college bookstores. We operate all sorts of different, another type I didn't mention, we actually operate on a campus that's a rental store. All their books are rental. But the university set that up originally, so we just came in and operated it for them. In order to run a bookstore, we do have to have a certain amount of sales. We do, once again, because it is such a big book list on this campus, I don't know if it'd be feasible for us to operate a store and do that. Now, if the university would be interested in subsidizing that, that might be a possibility. Sometimes we've also seen problems with swapping, book swaps. It becomes a problem of it limits the availability of books. You never know what the quantity of a certain title is going to be. And one of the things the university is concerned about is making sure their books are available if students need it. So when you get into a book swap, there might be, 60 people in the class, but in a swap only 25 available. And that's where it becomes so challenging. Does that make sense?
Yeah.